Jerry Bruckheimer was saying that it took a while to convince you to do it. What were your reservations?
Well, it didn't take so long. It wasn't that there were so many reservations. I mean, initially, when they came to me, there was just the name, Pirates of the Caribbean.
You've seen the swagger, the sword fights, and the sea monsters. But what if we told you one of the most iconic wasn't supposed to happen the way it did? This scene is not edited. Look closer at the Pirates of the Caribbean. Blooper isn't just a catchy title. It's your ticket into the chaos, mishaps, and unscripted magic that slipped past the editors. One wild on-set moment involving a legendary rocker might make you rethink everything you know about Jack Sparrow. And no, it's not what you think. Buckle up, because beneath the surface of this billion-dollar franchise, something unexpectedly hilarious is waiting to be uncovered. 18. Depp invented Jack's walk. One of the most iconic elements of Pirates of the Caribbean is Jack Sparrow's peculiar off-kilter swagger. A stumbling walk that perfectly embodies the rogue pirate's unpredictable nature. What many fans don't realize is that this signature movement wasn't in the script. It was entirely Johnny Depp's invention. Drawing inspiration from Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards, Depp infused the character with rock star energy and irreverent charm. He envisioned Jack Sparrow as someone who had spent a lifetime at sea, legs adjusted to the rocking of a ship, body in constant motion even on land. The result was a physical performance that became instantly recognizable and a defining trait of the character. At first, Disney executives were baffled. According to Depp, they didn't know what he was doing and even wondered if he was drunk. As early as the first few weeks of filming for The Curse of the Black Pearl, the controversy about his acting was loud enough that there was talk of firing him. But director Gore Verbinski defended Depp's performance because he saw the genius in the eccentricity. And eventually, the studio backed off, which allowed Depp to do it his way. Cinematic history was made in the process. Sparrow's walk became a cultural signifier in its own right, endlessly mocked in Halloween costumes and parodies, even in rides at theme parks. It redefined the very idea of character creation for blockbuster cinema. It proved how one wild creative decision, despite the risk of being completely misinterpreted, could propel a role from becoming merely memorable to a position of legendary status. Without this distinctive gait, somewhere between stagger and cool assurance, Jack Sparrow might have ended up just another pirate. Instead, he is a legend. And just when you thought the biggest risks were in Jack's swagger, this next scene pushed danger to a whole new level. 17. Exploding set nearly hurt cast. During the filming of Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, one of the franchise's most memorable action sequences, the runaway water wheel fight, almost led to disaster. The ambitious scene featured Jack Sparrow and his companions battling atop and inside a massive wooden wheel rolling through the jungle. It was a complex mix of physical stunts, practical effects, and rigging. But behind the swashbuckling spectacle was a dangerously unstable set piece. According to crew accounts, part of the massive wheel malfunctioned during shooting, causing a partial collapse that put cast and crew members at real risk. Though no one was injured badly, the stuntman twisted his ankle in the accident, after which production was held up for a while. The situation called for extreme coordination between the camera, performers, and mechanical apparatus. Even the smallest hitch could spell danger. Gore Verbinski, the director who pushes physical effects to the utmost, was in constant communication with safety coordinators to make sure they could keep on filming the sequence without putting anyone at risk. A near miss hammered home the point. The difficulties of executing intense, action-packed set pieces can become magnified despite the presence of so-called seasoned hands. Despite these troubles, this action sequence in its wheel variety won hearts cinematically, becoming a fan-favorite moment in the franchise. Coupled with great choreography, practical effects, and physical comedy, the sequence comes alive on screen, although viewers might reanalyze it with newfound admiration, knowing how dangerous it was to execute that vision. The explosion may not have been captured for good, yet the backstage tension, along with the value that the crew has put, will give that scene an edge very few can recreate. 16. Monkey's Revenge on Depp. While Captain Jack Sparrow had to deal with cursed pirates and supernatural sea creatures on screen, Johnny Depp faced a different kind of nemesis off-screen, a mischievous capuchin monkey. The monkey, who played Barbassa's undead pet, may have looked adorable to audiences, but Depp quickly learned it had a particular dislike for him. During filming, the monkey repeatedly relieved itself on Depp, to the point where he started joking in interviews that the animal hated him. What began as a funny behind-the-scenes moment soon became a running gag during production. Depp approached everything with his normal dry humor, even calling the monkey the most dependable actor on set. He showed no outwardly visible signs of frustration, preferring to recount unpleasant encounters with a chuckle. Some days, the shooting schedules had to be altered to fit the whims of the monkey, which might become violent or indolent at any time, especially when forced to work long hours in the blazing heat of the Caribbean sun. The cast and crew knew that they were saddled with an animal actor with a temperament of its own, and Depp seemed to somehow carry the burdens of it all with unforeseen grace. The antics of the Capuchin brought a different level of unpredictability to the already punishing shoot, particularly in arranging scenes with live animals and choreography that was really sophisticated. However, a lot of trouble for Depp was the monkey, in many was loved by the franchise. From its interaction with Jack Sparrow, it was comic relief, often overshadowing Depp's performance by just sitting on his shoulder. But behind the scenes, it was clear that in this pirate crew, while Jack Sparrow was the captain, the monkey had its own agenda and wasn't shy to express it. 15. Jim Carrey nearly was Jack. Before Johnny Depp forever redefined what a movie pirate could be, another actor was seriously considered for the role of Captain Jack Sparrow, Jim Carrey. In the early stages of casting for Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Carrey was high on Disney's list to lead the franchise. Known for his wildly expressive face and over-the-top comedic timing, Carrey seemed like a natural fit for the quirky, unpredictable role. However, a scheduling conflict with his 2003 film Bruce Almighty prevented him from accepting the offer. Had he accepted the role, Carrey's portrayal of Jack Sparrow would probably have diffused into an entirely different conception. Although Carrey's energy and comic timing were indeed recognized, his approach tended to veer more towards slapstick humor and gargantuan cartoonish exaggeration. On the contrary, Depp's take on the character imbued Jack Sparrow with strangeness, a bit of swagger, and a touch of eccentricity that sparked mystery, unpredictability, and even vulnerability into the pirate. Depp's description of Sparrow was that of a drunken rock star, inspired by Keith Richards and an old-fashioned swashbuckler's role that very few actors could, in their manner, have portrayed. The consensus of fans and critics is that Johnny Depp transformed and breathed life into Captain Jack Sparrow. His portrayal earned the actor an Oscar nomination and cemented Captain Jack Sparrow as an instant cinematic icon. Meanwhile, Jim Carrey's alternate interpretation remains an alluring what-if in Hollywood lore. But the eventual casting of Johnny Depp unleashed a new course for the franchise, creating a character so singular that it is now hard to think of anyone else ever wearing that tricorn hat and eyeliner in such an unforgettable way. 14th, Depp's arrest in Australia. In 2015, Johnny Depp found himself at the center of an international controversy, not for a movie role, but for illegally bringing his 2 Yorkshire Terriers, Pistol and Boo, into Australia while filming Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead men tell no tales. Australia has some of the strictest biosecurity laws in the world, and Depp's failure to declare the dogs sparked a political and media firestorm. The animals were flown in on a private jet without proper quarantine, bypassing the country's mandatory procedures to prevent the spread of disease. Australian officials gave Depp and his then-wife Amber Heard 72 hours to remove the dogs or face euthanasia. From an ordinary event, it suddenly spiraled into an international scandal, making headlines around the world. Barnaby Joyce, then Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, openly condemned Depp, stating he entered his pets into the country illegally, and that it is time that Pistol and Boo buggered off back to the United States. Initially a mere story about a film shoot, the whole matter turned into a diplomatic circus. The dogs were eventually returned to the U.S., while Amber Heard was charged with illegal importation. The two issued an embarrassing mock apology video for the Australian government. In the short clip, the couple expresses respect toward the biosecurity laws in Australia, delivered in a flat monotone that was criticized and mocked. Although hardly connected back to pirates directly, this incident became one of the strangest off-screen moments surrounding the franchise lesson in what not to smuggle onto set. 13. Why Jack was missing. Many fans observed Captain Jack Sparrow being strangely subdued and, when possible, barely present in Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead Men Tell No Tales, 2017. For a character who once ruled every frame with chaotic charisma, his diminished screen presence felt somewhat out of place. Behind the scenes, however, the reason was far too complicated for simple creative decisions. While Depp was filming the movie, he was besieged with major personal and legal problems regarding his much-publicized divorce from actress Amber Heard and subsequent lawsuits and financial wranglings. These matters reportedly impeded his availability and focus and, importantly, affected his performance. At endless times, filming was interrupted or rescheduled due to Depp's absence. According to reports from crew members in Australia, the unpredictability in the shooting schedule and the subsequent delay created increased tension on the set. Directors Joachim Rønning and Espen Sandberg had to amend shooting schedules to allow for the rewriting and reworking of scenes in order to minimize Depp's time in front of the camera. For some sequences, body doubles and visual effects teams were employed to fill in the gaps. The outcome was that Jack Sparrow, the former central magnetic focus of the series, now felt like an adjunct character. This new focus meant more screen time was given to newer characters Henry Turner and Karina Smith, though many felt that the heart of the franchise had faded. Depp's diminished portrayal also affected the tone of the film, but raised a whole series of questions as to the presumed future of both the character and the series itself. To a franchise that once thrived on such unpredictability, Depp's absence was not only noticeable, was glaring. 12th. Kira was just 17. The shooting commenced in 2002 on Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. At the time, Keira Knightley was only 17. Nevertheless, she received the star impetus for the role of Elizabeth Swann, a strong-willed aristocrat caught between her privilege and pirate adventure. Her acting would propel her into international stardom, but her age was a unique challenge on set. Given labor laws and her being a minor, Knightley had her mother accompany her on set, especially during the longer shoots, and slightly more intimate scenes with her co-star, Orlando Bloom. The fact that Keira was a teenager, playing opposite older actors in romantic plotlines, put some strain on the production, particularly when shooting scenes involving kissing and other forms of physical proximity. In subsequent interviews, she revealed that she was petrified of getting fired during her first days on set. Talk about being under pressure. One minute you're just a girl of a few years out of high school. The next, you're having to act alongside A-list talent like Johnny Depp and Jeffrey Rush, and somehow pull off the maturity required for the role. Keira met the challenge full on, and her professionalism soon earned her the respect of her co-stars and crew. 11. Their first kiss was awkward. Indeed, Elizabeth Swann and Will Turner shared a love-hate romance that primarily formed the bedrock of Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and peaking at the much-anticipated kiss between them toward the end of the film. But while the moment spent on screen was passionate and sincere, the behind-the-scenes clamor surrounding it was quite different. Keira Knightley was just 17 years of age, acting the role of Elizabeth, who had been not more than a few days earlier acquainted with co-star Orlando Bloom. Prior to the kiss itself, the previous rapport between Keira and Orlando was nothing much. With major production pressures, the experience became more unnerving than romantic. Keira later described it as weird, as in, it wasn't even in my top 5, while joking in interviews that she felt rushed and mechanical about it. The spontaneity was gone with the huge crew watching, the angles of the cameras needing complete precision, and several takes being required. For Bloom, the scene was a little less terrifying. Having a bit more age and experience, he said it felt quite tense to get such an important scene right under such scrutiny. Even with the behind-the-scenes awkwardness, it became one of the most romantic and memorable moments for fans in the series. The tension between Elizabeth and Will provided the subplot for the high seas adventure. 10. Keith Richards drank on set. When Keith Richards was cast as Captain Teague, Jack Sparrow's enigmatic father in Pirates of the Caribbean, at World's End, it felt like a perfect match. After all, Johnny Depp had openly cited the Rolling Stones guitarist as a major influence in creating Jack Sparrow's swaggering, rock star-like persona. Richards brought an authentic edge to the role, but he also brought something else: rum. Rumors indicate that Richards kept a flask of rum on the production set and drank between the scenes. His behavior on set matched his now legendary label of rocker. However, the small role had a large impact. Johnny Depp claimed to have been thrilled to work with his idol, but it was reportedly even funnier how comfortably Richards stepped into the role of pirate, flask, and all. Primarily unorthodox in his approach, Richards received accolades for what he did to keep the character alive with an authenticity and comic touch that was essential to the franchise. According to him, Captain Teague's cameos further broadened the mythology of Jack Sparrow's world. It also further blurred the line between character and actor in the Pirates universe, especially when rock and rum-slurred charisma come into play. Just when things couldn't get more rock and roll, the next moment proves even CGI pirates aren't safe from unexpected wardrobe mishaps. 9. Tentacle caught a wig. In Pirates of the Caribbean, at World's End, one of the film's unintended comedic gems occurred during a scene aboard the Flying Dutchman. The moment came when Davy Jones, played by Bill Nighy through groundbreaking motion capture technology, was interacting with his cursed crew. In one take, the CGI tentacles that served as Jones's beard accidentally became entangled in another actor's hat. The incident was completely unscripted, but Nighy, ever the professional, stayed in character and improvised a reaction that made the moment so authentic and amusing that the filmmakers decided to keep it in the final cut. Tentacle droids were digitally added in the post-production process, while Nai wore a complete motion capture suit during the filming, and real reference tokens were added to depict where he would have the appendages. A legitimate prop for the set belonged to the crew's hat. During the take, the two collided, and everyone immediately went into shock, but it was Nai's subtle handling of the blooper that morphed it from a mess into magic in the movies. His performance blurred the lines between CGI and physical acting so that the viewers could not easily be able to tell where the accident ended and intention began. 8. Magic compass. Makes no sense. Jack Sparrow's magical compass is one of the most intriguing artifacts in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Unlike a normal compass, it doesn't point north. It points to whatever the holder desires most. This mystical object plays a crucial role in multiple films, often driving the plot forward as characters seek treasure, redemption, or power. However, despite its significance, the rules surrounding the compass are frustratingly inconsistent. Throughout the series, it changes hands frequently, with little explanation as to how its loyalty or effectiveness transfers from one user to another. Dead Man's Chest offers the premise that the compass is uniquely bound to Jack, and in his indecision lies the obstacle of the plot. Dead Men Tell No Tales shows the compass in the possession of a plethora of characters, Tia Dalma, Barbossa, and some random tavern owner, without the clarity of consequence. Its magic doesn't seem to care whose hands it is in now, a fact that runs counter to earlier scenes where it functioned on a truly personal basis, intertwined with Jack's innermost desires. Just to add to the confusion, somewhere it is asserted that giving it away unleashes a curse of death. Even this had never been mentioned in passing before. 7. Modern objects in frame. Despite its immersive 18th century setting, Pirates of the Caribbean isn't immune to modern-day bloopers slipping onto the screen. One of the most surprising and amusing errors comes in the form of visible modern objects accidentally captured during filming. In Dead Man's Chest, eagle-eyed fans spotted what appeared to be a truck in the background of a jungle scene. While the shot was quickly corrected in later edits, some early promotional material and international versions briefly revealed the oversight. It's a jarring reminder that even the most meticulously crafted fantasy worlds can't always escape reality. Yet another notorious illustration is that of Captain Jack Sparrow himself. In one of the earlier cuts of a scene, a keen observer remarked that a logo, reminiscent of Nike, could be made out on the inside of Jack's tricorn hat. One theory goes that it was either a wardrobe department prank or a label that was inadvertently neglected prior to the filming. The detail was ostensibly removed digitally, but some fans claim to have seen the anachronistic logo before it faded from the final cut. Small enough to easily miss, but in the eyes of some vigilant viewers, this detail was enough to break the historical illusion. 6. Pirate contacts were painful. To bring the eerie look of the cursed pirates to life in Pirates of the Caribbean, many actors wore custom-designed contact lenses that altered their eye color, gave them a ghostly glow, or made their eyes appear clouded or otherworldly. While the effect on screen was haunting and effective, the reality for the actors wearing them was far from glamorous. The Caribbean filming locations were hot, humid, and often sandy conditions that made wearing the contacts for long hours extremely uncomfortable. For actors like Lee Arenberg, who played Pintel, the experience was so unpleasant that he described the lenses as torture in the tropics. The special effects crew painstakingly designed the lenses to be real eye-catchers under the grueling lights for night and ship scenes. Unfortunately, even state-of-the-art technology couldn't stop the irritation and dryness, especially during long shooting days. The actors frequently had to remove and clean their contacts and sometimes got relief by using eye drops or were assisted by medical personnel from the set. In some cases, scenes had to be rescheduled or creatively edited when an actor's eyes became too irritated so that they couldn't wear the lenses any longer. 5. Orlando hated his wig. In Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Orlando Bloom brought the noble and earnest Will Turner to life, but the actor wasn't thrilled with every aspect of his transformation. Chief among his complaints was the long, dark brown wig he was required to wear throughout the first film. Designed to match the rugged 18th-century blacksmith aesthetic, the wig may have looked authentic on camera, but behind the scenes, it was a constant source of discomfort for Bloom. It was often described by him as itchy, heavy, and highly hot, especially under the Caribbean sun on long outdoor shoots. Bloom afterwards admitted in interviews that the wig often made it hard for him to perform, jokingly suggesting that Will Turner's perpetually serious expression may have been less about the character's stoic nature and more about his personal discomfort. Wearing the piece for hours on end in humid conditions triggered headaches and sweating, let alone the hassle of having to reattach or adjust it for different takes. Not only was there inconvenience, but also manageable hair glue, straps, and itchy scalp irritation on a daily battlefield. After the first film, Bloom fought to have the hair on his head reduced in the sequels. By Dead Man's Chest, it was toned down, more real hair and styling with a lot fewer heavy wigs attached. 4th, Hidden Mickey in Treasure. In Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, sharp-eyed Disney fans were delighted to discover a cleverly placed Easter egg hidden within the glittering piles of cursed treasure on Isla de Muerta, a subtle nod to Disney's iconic mascot, Mickey Mouse. During the scene where Captain Jack Sparrow and the crew enter the treasure cave, a small arrangement of gold coins and jewels in the background can briefly be seen forming the unmistakable shape of Mickey's head and ears. It's not obvious at first glance, but once spotted, it becomes a fun reminder that the Pirates franchise, for all its grit and swordplay, is still very much rooted in Disney magic. The hidden Mickey, or otherwise known as a hidden image, is considered an age-old practice in Disney films, parks, and merchandise. It is an almost noticeable signature used by Disney Imagineers and movie makers that links their activities back to the great heritage of the brand. Its placement in a somewhat dark and blatant fashion, contrasting elements against the very eerie atmosphere of a cursed treasure scene, adds a humorous touch. It might be hard to catch in the fleeting moment, but for the hardcore fans, it's a rewarding detail. These discreet additions help tie Disney's family-friendly roots to the edgier tone of Pirates, and they remind you that there still exists a wee bit of wicked fun in the world of undead sailors and cursed voyages. For many fans, the discovery of the hidden Mickey feels like a treasure they have found themselves. 3. Tortuga was historically real. Though Pirates of the Caribbean leans heavily into fantasy, some of its most iconic locations have real historical roots, most notably the infamous pirate haven of Tortuga. In the films, Tortuga is portrayed as a lawless island filled with drunken sailors, brawls, brothels, and a general air of delightful chaos. Surprisingly, this depiction isn't far from the truth. Tortuga used to be a real island somewhere off northwest Haiti. During the 17th century, it became a powerful bastion of pirates, privateers, and outlaws seeking refuge from the clutches of European magistrates, and a location to reprovision, recruit, or enjoy. Originally, people from France had settled Tortuga, but with its strategic location in the Caribbean, It gained its dark fame as a pirate port very soon. It was to serve as one of the capitals of the Brethren of the Coast, a loose combination of pirates and privateers raiding Spanish ships or colonies in the vicinity. With no great central government to speak of, and with Tortuga being more or less impossible to control by any major European power, any adventurer or criminal became welcome there from all corners of Europe and the New World. It was precisely the same as we have seen in the movies, where irritatingly shifting loyalties, great fortunes made and lost in an instant, and danger lurking with a smile at every corner were the order of the day. 2. Depp's teeth were real. One of the most recognizable features of Captain Jack Sparrow's look is his gold-capped teeth, glinting through every smirk and slurred monologue. While many actors would rely on removable dental props for such a role, Johnny Depp took a far more committed and permanent approach. For the filming of Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Depp had actual gold crowns implanted onto his teeth by his personal dentist. He thought that such gold would suit the rugged, precious hunting character of Jack perfectly, contributing to the credibility of the Avatar. Surprisingly, Depp predicted taking a lot of flack from Disney executives about the showy dentistry. He has much more gold teeth implanted than he actually intended to keep, just to get around this. Producers, as expected, took fright on seeing so much gold and asked him to tone it down. Knowing this, however, Depp had his dentist remove only the excess caps, leaving him with the same number he wanted in the first place. The gold teeth became so much a part of Jack's appearance that Depp continued to wear them even during the sequels and maintains them even when off-set during press events and interviews. His dental transformation is just one demonstration of the actor's deep immersion into the role beyond the wardrobe and voice, an attempt to make Sparrow feel like a living, breathing, and occasionally rum-soaked pirate. And finally, to cap off this wild ride through bloopers and behind-the-scenes chaos, the last reveal shows how two pirate legends turned rivalry into real-life chemistry. 1. Jack and Barbossa bonded. Although Captain Jack Sparrow and Hector Barbossa are fierce rivals throughout the Pirates of the Caribbean films, their real-life counterparts, Johnny Depp and Geoffrey Rush, shared a much friendlier relationship off-screen. The dynamic between the two characters, full of deception, banter, and shifting alliances, was one of the franchise's most entertaining elements. But rather than letting ego or competition get in the way, Depp and Rush worked together closely to choreograph and fine-tune their scenes. Rush himself was trained classically in theater and had done considerable work on its stage, which gave a Shakespearean quality to his portrayal of Barbossa, while Johnny Depp's unpredictable, improvisational style made everything madly wild when it came to Jack. Not that these two actors even dared tread on the other's methods. Rather, they glorified their working with one another into the appearance of these clever people on screen. In interviews, Rush would admit that they were seen, most of the time, battling for who steals more scenes. But there is always a nice vibe in it. Such protestations of off-screen camaraderie translated beautifully to the relationships depicted in the films, adding real depth to the often tense but humorous exchanges between their characters. Love-hate dynamics are certainly among the franchise's traditional best, squabbling over the command of the Black Pearl or unwillingly teaming up to face supernatural threats. If you were surprised by what slipped past the final cut, just wait till you see what's next. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes secrets and movie mishaps. Got a favorite blooper or moment we missed? Drop it in the comments below. And hey, don't sail away just yet. Click the next video on your screen to keep the adventure going.